Hey, it's Future State Week 2, and we have how many more weeks of this? I'll say this at the beginning. I can't believe DC was actually about to go with this as their new continuity before DDO got fired, because oh boy, would that have been terrible. Like, most of these books I like, but Permanent, oh god, this would have been a disaster. I'm Mike.
And I'm Daniel.
I'm Vincent.
So we read 6 books out of 7 this week. We still have not read, Perfect for the Cycle yet. I do find that interesting. We've left one off the docket for the first 2 weeks now, but we do pick up a book as we only had 5 last week, and we add one more for this week. And as expected, I would say they heavily lean Batman centric because I'd say 3 or 4 of these are Batman centric, which I'm beginning to think that this is a problem. And also, Vince, I'll correct. You were correct last week, where all of these books seem to be in a completely different timeline. Where I thought the Batman ones were at least, in the same sphere. I can't even say that anymore with the way things are going on those. And then also Justice League is taking place at a complete other end of the timeline here as well. So that's which makes things more confusing. But mentioning Batman, Dan, you're going to talk about Future State Dark Detective #1.
Yes. So our first Future State issue is Future State Dark Detective #1, written by Mariko Tamaki, art by Dan Mora, with colors by Jordi Belair. Our story opens to a very grim Gotham that has been taken over by the Magistrate and is led by this robot android person called Peacekeeper-01. And Batman is also dead in this universe, I guess. So we see Bruce Wayne, I guess, laying low in a restaurant, and I'm assuming a flashback to him nearly escaping death and being sewn up after a really bad battle in this back alley with this surgeon. We then see Bruce walking through a high-tech version of Gotham when he decides to step in and stop a mugging. The mugging is stopped, but the magistrate, which then starts to hunt down Bruce and starts going after him after they, break up the skirmish. What did I say? Sorry, give 1 second. We then see some great action scenes of him run away from the Peacekeeper. Some really good colors going on here. We have the really dark, grim backdrop of Gotham, and then there's one panel where he's kind of walking through, and we see all the very bright screens of the different areas of Gotham. So I thought it was pretty cool. The end of the issue kind of ends with Bruce Wayne run away from Peacekeeper, as I said, and he's kind of I'm back from the grave. Batman's not dead anymore. I'm ready to fight, and that's kind of where our issue ends. So I really like the art here by Dan Mora. I thought it was pretty good. Very thin pencil work at times, but I thought it was really nice. Like I said, it really helps paint the atmosphere of what this story is kind of representing. But yeah, I thought this was somewhat decent. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, this will, by the way, Dan, this will be the same team that takes over Detective Comics when we enter March for Infinite Frontier. Obviously, Dan Mora is a fan favorite from his work on Power Rangers and the brief stint on Buffy the Vampire Slayer when that started. That's kind of where he's made his name. And he's done some brief Batman pieces here and there. I think he did some on social media. He's done Batman sketches, which definitely made people clamor for, oh, I want to see Dan Mora draw Batman. And I also want to see Dan Mora draw Batman, but I want to see him draw Batman, not Future State, broke Bruce Wayne Batman. I'm also going to get into a gripe here where a lot of the Future State designs seem to be add armor, take away cape. Because we've seen that with John, we've seen that with Robin here, and Robin Eternal, and with Bruce's costume here. It's go with tactical armor plating, remove the cape. I don't that's not a hugely great design choice to me. But then also for John, in, you know what, Superman and Metropolis, he doesn't have a cape, but now in Justice League and then Superman Wonder Woman, he's rocking a cape. So like at some point he goes, I don't want to wear a cape anymore. I don't fully get it. But Dan Mora's art here is good. Mariko Tamaki, I don't think gets enough to do here. Like just as it was starting to get interesting, it ended. And then I liked the Grifter backup story by Matthew Rosenberg. But like I said, but like I'm more, but out of that, I'm more curious what you thought of Grifter because you've never read Wildcats than I did about seeing a Grifter story where he teams up with Luke Fox. So,
Well, yeah, I'll quickly comment on Batman, and then I guess Dan can get back to Grifter. I don't have much to say on Grifter. I don't really care about fake cold cash in the DC universe. But Batman, I think Mora is an interesting pick on Batman. The art is definitely the standout here. I feel like his style, in some ways, is close to Greg Capullo. That's kind of some of the vibes I get. And in fact, the costume that you're dissing, which I agree, I think it looks stupid as hell. It kind of has that 0 Year vibe. It's pretty similar to some of the stuff that Batman was wearing, you know, in that story. But it's like Capullo mixed with like Dan Panosian or something like that. I'm not sure how to describe it.
yeah.
And again, like you were talking about at the beginning of the show, I really don't understand the chronology of these Future State books. I mean, I have a pretty good grasp now that different, you know, we have different like little connected titles. Like I'm going to reference some of that later, like another new pocket that we've discovered. But in this one specifically, reference is made to Mayor Nakano, who is from the runs, like the current slash just one of them just finished runs by Tynan and Tomasi in the current day continuity. So like this can't, I mean, obviously Bruce is still alive, so whatever, but like how long is this mayor's run? You know, did Gotham suddenly become cyberpunk in like even if like this mayor is like, first of all, he's not technically mayor yet in the main continuity. So maybe he's, you know, he's running like almost a full year. And then maybe the term limits, maybe he's in office for like a max of like 10 years. Is that enough time for Gotham to suddenly become like, you know, cyberpunk future Tokyo esque with giant billboards and holograms? It seems like a little bit of a jump, and I don't understand how far in the future this is supposed to take place. Doesn't really matter, but whatever.
Yeah, that's the part of it that, well, it seems that like at least with the Batman titles, I can piece together some sort of chronology where like, okay, Dick Grayson went crazy and was locked in Arkham, and when Teen Titans seems to be taking place after he stopped being crazy, I guess, or before he started getting put in Arkham. I don't get it. We the big thing is the magistrate took over Gotham somehow and started hunting all the masks down. So, all right, and then most people think Bruce is dead, and I'm guessing this is going to end with Bruce actually dying, or he's just operating in the background. But Dan, get back, Grifter. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I forgot that this had a backup story.
I mean, to be fair, until we put in our notes, I forgot Grifter was even a backup feature in here. To be honest, like that's not on. Like that's just, it was forgettable, and he didn't even put his cool mask on until like the final 3 pages. So
Yeah, this is a pretty short summary, so I won't spend too much time on it. But this
you don't
story,
need.
this story, Grifters, is written by Matthew Rosenberg with art by Carmen D. Wow, I'm gonna butcher this last name. Why do I go all the hard last names?
Carmon D. Giandomenico.
Giandomenico? Okay.
Yes.
In the same Gotham that is ruled by this magistrate, we see Cole Cash getting into a bar fight before escaping and being captured by the magistrate. On his way to be transported, he is in the car with Luke Fox, who is Lucius Fox's son.
Yeah, but not the one that's the next Batman.
Okay, that makes sense. After some punches and bickering back and forth, the two manage to work together to escape the transport van, I guess, and go to Cole's apartment where he gets his gun and his cool mask, as Mike alluded to. to find out who is after him. So yeah, I mean, it's set in the same timeline as the Batman or Dark Detective storyline. Interesting artwork, I guess.
But here's the thing: we don't know if it's set during the same time as Dark Detective. This could be after Bruce is already dead. We don't know. We don't know anything.
At the very least, we know the Magistrate is still around, so that's all.
Right. My only other theory could be that also, I guess the Peacekeeper, one of them is Jason Todd, since we're told what Jason was a traitor. So, and then he's got the red mask. So, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to go ahead and say that's Jason Todd. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. So, I feel like, though, for the sake of our own sanity, we'll get to Robin Eternal, because I don't have anything else to say on Dark Detective unless Vince, anything else? No, okay. Robin Eternal #1, which is Future State Robin Eternal. This is Megan Fitzmartin, Eddie Barrows on art, and then Ibar Ferreira on inks. So, like, Tim Drake is now the lone member of the Bat family left to fight the Magistrate after Bruce's death. We get definitely told Bruce is dead here, but I don't know if he is really dead or not. I don't know. So we do get lines of references to the other states that, like I said, Bruce is dead, Dick's in Arkham, Jason is a traitor, and Damian is MIA. But my theory is, when we get to Teen Titans, that I think Damian is Red X. That would make the most sense. So just Tim Drake is left to fight these cyber psychos or cyber guys that are hopped up on this Lazarus resin, which makes them more powerful. So they're siphoning off the goop in the Lazarus pits and using them to inject these people to make them more souped up super soldiers. All right, I can get with that. He gets bailed out and saved by, spoiler, Stephanie Brown, but he messes up their conversation, so he leaves her and walks to try to get help from Darcy, who was from We Are Robin. That was like their tech hacker person. And then, like, just so they're not detected by the Magistrate, they're talking in sign language, which I thought that was a neat idea. And then most of this is them, like, talking in sign language, but you're just reading caption boxes. So maybe it could have been done slightly better. But basically, Tim's got to get on this giant freighter of the Magistrate to destroy it, because that's where all the Lazarus resin is. So they fly up there. They do get last-minute help from Stephanie Brown. And then, they fight all the bad guys. Tim comes face-to-face with the big souped-up one with the whole, oh, no, I was too late. And then he gets his neck snapped, but, like, while doing so, he gets thrown, and, like, the tubes of Lazarus resin break. And then he gets, scooped up by all of it. So, he's completely fine and gets revived. So time for round 2. Overall, like, it was fine, I guess. Eddie Barrows art with Robin, which is cool, but same standard, more tactical armor suit with no cape. Nice to see Tim in the spotlight, but overall, this was, like I said, straight fine. 6 out of 10 would be, if we rate things 6 out of 10. We go for ratings. What did you guys think of Robin Eternal?
Read it.
Yeah, I know you didn't read it.
Looks like Robin got slimed at the end.
Yeah, it's all green.
No, I mean, I the art kind of grew on me as the issue went on. It looked a little shaky in the beginning, I thought, but I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of this guy's work, I don't think.
It's been around for a long time.
Has he? Okay, well, then
Yes.
this goes to show you how much DC stuff I don't read. No, I thought it pretty good pacing. I enjoyed it for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's the thing. For what it's worth, yeah, it was fine.
I do like the little shot with them flying up in the jetpack. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. All right. Future State Teen Titans.
Yes. Future State Teen Titans by Tim Sheridan and Rafa Sandoval. This writer, Tim Sheridan, far as I know, has 0 comics credits. He's coming from animation TV, though he wrote the last Superman animated movie, which I heard was all right. So let's see. So Nightwing here, he's wearing a weird suit. It also kind of has that armor vibe, but visually it's a little close to the suit that he wore in his 90s miniseries, I guess. and he's hanging out with Red Arrow and Miko Queen. They're visiting the wreckage of Titan's Tower. There are graves here for Wally, Donna, also Wallace, and then some weird deep cuts. Like one of these graves is for a character that just appeared in their Endless Winter special. So I guess, when it's not Future State, maybe that character's gonna keep showing up. Who knows? In this future timeline, Cyborg and Beast Boy have merged as Beast, and they are one body, but they both separately talk. It doesn't, whatever. Jakeem Thunder is hanging out with them. Traditionally more of a connected to the JSA. In the Jeff Johns era, but then things get even weirder as we're introduced to other Teen Titans of the Future State era. We have Brat Girl, Gorilla Greg, and I don't even know who Gorilla Greg is because we don't get proper introductions with their names next to them or anything like that. So I don't see a gorilla here. So I don't know if someone turns into a gorilla similar to Gorilla or Congo Bill or whatever. There's a character literally called Totally Tubular, and then there's Chupacabra. And we were talking about just trying to figure out in our heads how Future State works. Which different timelines and universes are each. It turns out that this Teen Titans book is connected to both the Flash book and the Shazam book, I believe. And suddenly, at the end of the issue, Dick puts on a Deathstroke mask, and there's also Red X from the TV show. There's no explanation. I don't know. We're skipping Flash. Probably skipping Shazam. We may have, I don't know, maybe that was this week and we already did skip it. But this didn't really grab me at all, and I'm pretty sure I'm dropping it during Future State at least.
I enjoyed this. I'll stick around just to see who Red X is. My guess is Damien. No real explanation for how they integrate the Red X stuff. I imagine they're just going to do what they did for Phantasm and be like, how you remember it happened, because obviously in the show it was Dick posing as Red X. Of course, you didn't have television as a kid, so I don't even know if you knew that. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I knew that, but I don't. Again, I didn't have television as a kid, so I didn't grow up watching that show or anything like that. And I kind of have a ton of stupid nitpicks about the show, with Slade and things like that. So
that's
I don't have a strong
time nor the place to complain about that now. But yeah,
I don't have a strong attachment to that show.
I mean, yeah, but people like me who did grow up with the cartoon, I'll check it out because all right, I'm intrigued by Red X.
Well, even if the Red X reveal is here, this is a Future State, so, and we know some version of Red X is in the regular book, so yeah. Is it a different Red X? I don't know how that works.
It would have to be. I like the idea of going with Dick's second costume. I don't know why he's wearing a Deathstroke mask, so it's really the unanswered questions that are going to keep me coming back here. And by the way, Shazam is next week, so we've not missed that one yet, but we might not read it. We'll put together rundowns for next week.
I mean, I do actually. I kind of like the aesthetic of, and especially with this weird ass costume that he's wearing now. The Deathstroke mask kind of fits visually in that final page. I do kind of like the idea of Dick, working for Deathstroke, whether it's an uneasy alliance or whatever. He's done it before. There's a moment in the Devin Grayson run in the 2000s where Dick's kind of hanging out with Deathstroke. And
I'll bring it up again. That's what he was doing when he was Red X in the cartoon. So they go hand in hand together.
Yeah.
All right, bring Dan back for Justice League.
Yeah, while you're throwing backstage, I feel like I just got the little cane wrapped around my neck and yanked off the stage. Anyways,
you didn't read the book.
What?
You didn't read Teen Titans.
Okay, well, you didn't have to throw me backstage. You could have just taken me off the little thing here. Rude.
That's what we always do. It's never different.
Okay. I like that. I like how it's just your voice chiming in. Anyways, our next issue is Future State Justice League #1, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Robson Roca. I'm sorry, I can't talk tonight. And inks by Daniel Enriquez. If I butcher that too. In the future, obviously, we see a Justice League run by a bunch of legacy characters. That's basically what we want to call them, as they reminisce about past battles won. We then pan to the Legion of Doom, who is led by T.O. Morrow, who despises the new Justice League and swears to kill them. The next day, the Justice League shows up to see the Legion of Doom, and apparently they're dead. Back at the Hall of Justice, Superman observes the damage left behind. We get a good conversation between the new Wonder Woman, whose name escapes me right now, and Superman on their predecessors and what their legacy means for them. I think there's like one line where, like, I forget what it was. Like Wonder Woman told Superman, "It's like you gotta be the man of tomorrow, or the man of today, or like the future." I forget what it was. There's like something.
It was he's got to be the man of today because his dad was the man of tomorrow.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, so that makes sense. Later, we see Superman and Wonder Woman kidnapping and trapping the other Justice League members, to which we eventually find out that the Hyper Clan has assumed the appearances of the Justice League and will now infiltrate the world. My god, can't wait to see what happens next. The backup story here is Justice League Dark, written by Ram V, which is I guess that's his name, with art by Marcio Takara. I'll be honest, I really just skimmed this story. We have this woman and a chimp character. I forget what his name is. It did see him in a previous issue that we read. They're teaming up, and the big reveal at the end is that Dr. Fate is this old philosophical man that was in the story. He got like transformed into Dr. Fate, just by what I looked at. Yeah, I don't know. This is it's something about this I did not like. Obviously, I can't really comment too much on the backup story because I skimmed it, but I didn't really like this issue.
Well, first off, I'll disagree. I actually liked Justice League Dark a lot.
Maybe I'll read it next time.
Well, I mean, I would bet very good money that you would not know who a single person on the page who was for Justice League Dark.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of characters, so
He should know Zatanna because she's pretty sexy.
Yeah, I mean, well, he also should know Detective Chimp, since Detective Chimp showed up in in Endless Winter.
That's his name.
And you should also know who John Constantine is, because he shows up at the end of it.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, them going to hunt down Magic with Etrigan being trapped in Detective Chimp, that was a cool and fun idea. This new future state Justice League that doesn't want to have interpersonal relationships with each other outside the team because they died because some of them what was it? Someone on the team killed them because they knew who they all were. So they're all like, we only come together when we're needed, and then we only do our own thing, is kind of a different take. My favorite of the legacy characters would probably be Aquawoman. I can't remember what her actual name is. Vince, what was it's Andy, right?
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, it was cool seeing her. And then obviously she's more prominent here because I think in the future state Aquaman, she's still like she's the Aqua Lad to Jackson Hyde's Aquaman. So that's once again another different timeline. And also next Batman, Jace Fox has a different suit here as well. It's just small things you pick up from paying attention to these future state books. But Joshua Williamson, he pulled out the Hyper Clan in a very cool and fun, interesting twist that I thought worked. Dan, I don't know if you read the first arc of Morrison and Porter's JLA, but that's where he used the Hyper Clan. They were the White Martians that take over and invade.
Wow, but spoil it for me, thank you.
Well, it's a 25-year-old story.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. But I like I thought, no one else has really used the Hyper Clan since then. So that's why I thought it was, okay, you're digging into Justice League history to pull that out. So for the most part, I actually, this was my favorite of the week because I thought the main feature and the backups were both pretty strong. And then at least Ram V once again, like I said, he's taken on Justice League Dark with the backups to Bendis's Justice League when we get into Infinite Frontier. I don't know what Joshua Williamson's writing. They haven't announced it yet, unless they have, and I completely missed it. But his handle on JLA wasn't terrible, but Bendis is getting it in Infinite Frontier, so I don't know what's happening with Williamson.
Yeah, I thought this was enjoyable. It's kind of funny, like the whole like, oh, we have these new rules. You're not supposed to know each other's real names, and then it's like you see that there's little pockets of like these characters have close relationships, like Aquaman and Flash are hanging out, Superman and Wonder Woman hanging out. I thought all the characters, they have interesting little interplay in that sense. The art's fine. It was cool seeing the Hyperclan, and I'll get to our next book. These Future State books, some of them are pulling from weird little pockets of continuity. And in fact, I'm going to talk about something else that pulls from Morrison's kind of Justice League era in a second. But overall, I thought it was solid.
You continue? Are we all continuing on with Justice League, or just me and Vince?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
That's a no.
All right. In Future State, Superman, Wonder Woman. This is written by Dan Watters, who I teased this in a separate segment this week. Art by Lila Del Duca. So this is initially paralleling the different lives of these two heroes. Jon Kent's costume is fucking awful, as alluded to earlier. And that is somewhat tied into the fact that the art in this issue is a little bit inconsistent at times. But then Yara Flor, the Future State Wonder Woman, is in Sao Paulo pushing on a corrupt politician about embezzlement and not investing in infrastructure. And later on, she talks about deforestation and fires in the Amazon. So it's always nice to see Capes doing these kinds of heroics. Just as Superman did in Action Comics #1, he pressures and confronts politicians in that first appearance. Obviously, it's a tricky line. You can do it successfully, you can do it heavy-handed, different ways. I think it's handled well here. And in the Wonder Woman issue that we read previously, which was my highlight previously, I thought they've already established this character as intrinsically tied to her origins, her cultures, and everything like that, as well as a little bit feisty, a little bit fiery. So totally buy it here. Then she catches up with the fellow Brazilian gods of the sun and moon. But Solaris, a literal supervillain son, originally from Grant Morrison's DC 1,000,000 from the late 90s, is fucking around in the sky near Earth. He wants to take on Superman. So now there are two suns in the sky basically having a dick measuring contest. And as you can imagine, that causes all kinds of havoc across the Earth, but also is really tinkering with Superman's anatomy, especially since Solaris is a red sun. So John and Yara, they have an iffy relationship. She left the League. So I guess this may actually take place after Justice League. Or maybe Justice League is after this when she rejoins. Who knows? And at the end, John's powers get wacky. That's kind of the tease here. I like the writing from Watters, how he's presenting these two characters, their chemistry, and some of the subject matter. The interaction between John and Solaris feels kind of it feels kind of Silver Agey in a good way. John basically is like, "Hey, Solaris, we're gonna do this like little like challenge, and if I win, you got to go away. And if you win, I don't know, you can fuck the Earth." So it's almost like a good classic like story that you'd expect from Mitzi Pitlick, who also gets a quick reference here because John somehow I guess it makes sense because Superman doesn't usually have a ton of interaction with gods and magic and things like that. And obviously magic is, one of Superman's notable weaknesses and things. But I still think it's a little weird where John is like, he doesn't buy that Yara knows literal gods, even though, Mike and I argue about this sometimes. Like, gods in comic books in these shared universes, like the Asgardians and the Olympians in Marvel. It's a weird scenario. It's a weird kind of territory, but I enjoyed this. Yeah, I think the characterization on both sides of the title pretty good. I'm going to continue with this.
Yeah, I really like this as well. I don't know if it's just like this artist, but for some reason, like there's something about that costume I just don't really like from John. I mean, it's just
Okay.
yeah,
I was gonna ask if it was for Superman or Wonder Woman, but you answered.
no, no. Wonder Woman's is nice. I like it because like it's unique, but still like faithful to the character a little bit. But something about like the shoulder pads and obviously the complete disregard for uh, the um, what do you call that? The I can't think, the name's escaping me. Um,
What are you trying to think of? Because he has a cape in this one.
box. I don't know.
The red underwear?
Yeah, like they're not there. Like it's weird. Like you got like that belt.
Yeah, the
it's
undies.
yeah, it's just weird. And one thing I know this.
Yeah,
this
it is
actually,
a belt that's holding nothing up, essentially.
yeah, it's stupid. Another thing too. I know, like, I actually like the art for the most part in this issue, except for like the second to last page. There's one like close up of Wonder Woman's face that's like really, really like poorly drawn. I don't know if you guys get like it looks really weird. Like her face, something about it is really off. But that just really stood out to me. Like towards the end of the issue, I'm like, what is this? But yeah, I'll read the
I
second one.
I personally didn't notice anything off. I actually thought one of my favorite pages of the week was that the splash page of Wonder Woman saving the helicopter. I thought that was really cool and inventive with the medium. Watching her jump and save the helicopter, the way your eyes read it across the page, I thought was really interesting. I also like the Dan Waters puts these personal touches on Superman in it, where he like wakes up and uses his heat vision in the clouds to spell out to like communicate with Metropolis, letting people know that he's out there looking out for them. That was an inventive idea that was I thought that was cool, and at least looking at to me is like, is he doing that so he feels more like he's helping the people because he's not his father, so he feels like he has to be more outgoing and more proactive than ever because he's got to live up to his father's legacy. That was something that maybe more introspective I was reading it as, but I did think it was a different test. And then also like Vince hinted on, I do like how he went up to the Sun Eater and was like, hey, if we fight, you're gonna lose. So like he actually tries to talk him down, and then he presents the challenge. It was a different way of trying to combat the villain that was sets him aside from his dad, so he's not just a carbon copy, which I like. But yeah, like I enjoyed this for the most part, but at the same time I felt like it was very, very plain at the same time, which I thought was interesting, where not I don't know, it was flat to me in the rating. Like it wasn't super dynamic to me, if that's a way to describe it. But well, I did enjoy it. I mean, I'll read the second one. But our final one was Green Lantern #1, and this had 3 features in it. Jeffrey Thorne and Tom Rainey on Jon Stewart, and then Jessica Cruz was Ryan Cady and Sammy Basari, or I'm sorry, Sammy Basri, and then Guy Gardner was Ernie Altbacker, and then Clayton Henry. Clayton Henry did the cover for this issue. So Jeffrey Thorne, like I said, writes the main feature here, which is Jon Stewart as a freedom fighter across the galaxy, and he's aligned with Salak and then Genort. But he's much more like, think Chewbacca-ized version of him. He's not like, he's not the Genort from, JLI. So that's a different take on him, definitely. So they're now former Lanterns, as the central power battery has died, were said, and they're trying to liberate this planet while these evil aliens are, starting to attack from above while they're trying to save these refugees. And then they got to fight this guy named the Red God. There's not a lot of background of what's happening and why the power battery's dead. So I'm going to be critical. I think this is the one I'm most critical of, because if it's called Green Lantern, there's no lanterns in the book. That, and then not to not tell us what happened at all in the issue is a real big problem. Because now we're just, and that's been a thing with a lot of these where we're just dropped in and expected to go with what we're told, and hopefully we get pieces later. And this one I feel has the most, where it's like, I need a detailed background of what exactly has happened. So why are these Green Lanterns not having their rings? But like, we see the other Lantern cores are still out there. So, to help the reader, at least like just put it like, normally I hate this, but like just a text box or something to tell us what's going on. And then I feel bad for Jeffrey Thorne here, because it's hard to ignore it. He's been very outspoken on social media about how he hates how Jordan and Jon is his eyes the best Green Lantern, and then he doesn't really do any character work here with Jon. He's basically relegated to field leader calling out orders. Obviously, I do have to say I expect actual character work when Thorne takes over Jon as his starring Green Lantern in the new ongoing that'll happen in March, but nothing here in this first issue on any character work for Jon, and then also not being able to use him as a lantern at all. I feel bad for Jeffrey Thorne here, because I feel like he gets a raw deal. The Tom Raney art is okay. It reminds me of Howard Porter in some different ways. The Jessica Cruz story, she's the last remaining Lantern on this Lantern substation as she fends off Lyssa Drax and 2 other members of the Sinestro Corps from stealing a Lantern artifacts. Some strong alien / diehard vibes here, as she's without a ring, so she has to rely on her wits and other weapons in the substation. And then she manages to beat Lyssa Drax and is then chosen to become a Sinestro Corps member, which is interesting because she's her kind of main character trait is overcoming great personal fear of anxiety and PTSD. So I'm taking it as like she causes so much fear within herself that she can instill it in others with a yellow ring. That's an interesting take that I wish we would actually get more than just a backup story for. That's an interesting idea to explore. And the Guy Gardner one, Guy's on this planet tasked with ending like this endless war between these 2 factions on this planet when suddenly his ring goes out. I'm presuming from that's the moment the power battery died. So he has to spend the next 25 years becoming like their prophet and leader, eventually ending the war, and he builds a new Warriors bar, and he saves the planet. And then he's greeted by Lobo, and he's like, "I heard you built new Warriors." That was fun, and that was probably my favorite of the 3 stories we got here. I feel bad because Jeffrey Thorne I felt like definitely has the least interesting stories of the 3 here. But any thoughts on Green Lantern, gentlemen?
Very minimal.
Yeah.
I read the main story and it's like, oh, there's literally no one in a Green Lantern costume or using a traditional Green Lantern ring except for one inset panel of now I'm blanking on his name. Who's the
Kilowog dying?
Yeah. There's one inset panel of Kilowog. That's the only character in this entire story in a Green Lantern costume. Which, I get it. If this was an ongoing Green Lantern series, it's okay if you have one issue where, there's not Green Lantern as a costume, or it's like some little arc where he loses the ring and things like that. But for the first issue, even if this is like this alternate future, separate continuities, loose prelude, I would not have started out this way.
No.
And I
Any
like
thoughts on the backup?
Not really. I mean, it's cool seeing Guy, but I don't know these creators. Well, I don't know the writers, I should say, and I don't really care. The other thing I would say is, Tom Raney, obviously, very long career, and I think he has classics in his resume, but I thought his art looked really weird on the main story. It almost looks like, especially with the points I already made without the costume and the ring. This first story, if you were just flipping through it, honestly, it looks like maybe it could be like a fucking Judge Dredd spinoff or something like that. It looks like something that you would see in 2000 AD, or some kind of more obscure sci-fi comic or something.
Yeah, for me it was early 2000s, wannabe Predator knockoff almost, or set sci-fi thing. I got a Stargate vibe, like an SG-1 vibe to it or something. Yeah, it did not feel Green Lantern, but it was in space. Dan, any thoughts on Green Lantern?
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty meh all through. I mean, I really was not a fan of the first story's art, honestly. I really did not lie with that at all. I don't know what it was. And I don't know. I thought the premise of the second one was interesting. I like the splash page at the end, kind of like what you said, setting her up to be one of the Sinestro Corps. But yeah, I don't know if I'm really gonna come back to the second issue of this. I think it's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning as well. So if we had to pick one to recommend for week 2, like I said at the beginning of the show, this was before Dan Didio was canned. This was the 5G initiative. They already paid for the work, so this is why we're having Future State. They paid for the work, just put it out there. But this was gonna be the new DC universe. Like this was gonna be what it was. And oh man, I'm so happy they didn't go with this because regardless, I mean, there's been ones we've been positive on, but I don't think we've been like shining colors positive on any of them throughout the first 2 weeks.
Eh,
Even on the ones we liked.
I mean, more or less. There's a couple that I would say are 9 out of 10s.
I wouldn't say there's anything so far for me that's 9 out of 10.
Mostly just Wonder Woman, I think so.
Yeah, maybe that. And that's the one I enjoyed probably the most. But yeah, to recommend for week 2, I'd go Justice League. We didn't read the Kara Zor-El Superwoman thing. We didn't Superwoman of the Galaxy or whatever it was. Yeah, we didn't read that one. We read everything else. I'd go with Justice League as my pick to read this week. That was the one I had the most fun with. Any of you guys want to toss out if you had to read one, which would you pick?
From this week?
Yeah, from this week.
I think Superman, Wonder Woman.
Superman, Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I thought it edged out Dark Detective.
Okay.
I like it better. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's 2 weeks in. That's how we're feeling about it. So until next time, that's it for Future State Week 2.